My name is Jonathan Parks, and welcome to Jonathan's Nature Crafts. I must inform you that I do not live in this house by myself, but live here with other people. Sometimes other members of the household may have to walk through areas where I might be recording with other family members on the phone. If you hear any noise like that, please feel free to disregard. We are doing our best to get noise canceling equipment, which may at least keep you from hearing exactly what is being said. Thank you for considering. Well, I'd say after that little update video I gave you all yesterday, I come on today just to say another little thing or two, tell y'all just a little more how this goes. And turned out that as far as how yesterday was concerned, we didn't, I'd say the storms actually ended up not coming into my area of Kentucky, not into the Lexington area. I mean, they had tornadoes in other parts of the state, and we thought we were going to get thunderstorms after midnight, but we didn't. I unplugged all of my valuable electronics just to try to, save them, and in case we would have any thunder and lightning. And good news is we didn't. I plugged them back in when I got up in the morning, and I say that the thing was, I told you all in the last video what I got in my school email yesterday, but didn't get anything in my email today. And even from what they're predicting now, I'd say the storms are not supposed to be that bad. It would probably be unfortunate that if the storms do start coming, I'm more than likely going to have to unhook this cord I've got hooked up to my tablet so that I don't really cause any electrical shock or anything like that. Maybe unplug it from the wall. It's a good thing it's fully charged up. But just after giving you all a little update on that, which is one reason I came on here, thought I would do a little random talk while I'm carving, and do want to kind of tell you all what I'm carving right now. You've probably seen certain golden retrievers I've carved in the past. The ones that I carved last and demonstrated in the video with the dachshunds kind of had their tails down like this, but these are ones that were from that original pattern and had their tails curled up. And it just so happened that these were cut from, I can't even remember whether it was mahogany or Guanacaste or what. It was probably one or the other I cut these from. It kind of appears now to be more Guanacaste now that I know that it's as soft as it is from how I've carved it. And since these are brown, they would even end up becoming like little chocolate labs. So that's kind of what I'd say I'm working on right now. And since I've already shown you all so much about how retrievers are carved with the golden ones, these ones are from the same pattern, so they're pretty much, I'd say, the same way, and kind of with a little detail to go about them. I'd say that this is just a little work that can kind of find its ways a little bit. And I will say that maybe for this moment, if I find that sharpening stone, and we'll say that we'll probably take it down here and kind of sharpen it up. And I'd say there's been things that happened over the months, over the years, and this is a time when I'm not really going to the coffee shops much, kind of taking my time to relax, kind of just going between two different restaurants right now, and not going to very many or hanging out places much. But I say that there's certain good friends I've made in places, and having to take this little spool of black thread out of the box makes me think to show you all another little thing I've made. You've seen all the pelt pillows I make before, but this is one from a spotted skunk. It was probably about 2 or 3 years ago I purchased this spotted skunk pelt, and I've already made a pillow from the striped skunk, but decided I'd make a little one from that spotted one as well. Looks like we've got the knife sharp enough to carve, so I think I'm going to do a little work here about this, try to get a little extra help and work done into a little piece, and come to think that it's just one of the things that shall make a way into all we're going to make and do. I say that we've already started doing most of the carving on these, but we're going to do a little more. Most of this I've already demonstrated, so I'll just have little random things to speak of while I just carve along. And it's just kind of like, because I'm old and I'm wise, I probably like to come on here, share little bits of wisdom. One thing I'd say, I told you all in videos about the accident I had back in '08 on the bandsaw, and there was a certain man who owned an art depository in Nicholasville, which is one town over from me. It was in the downtown area, and when I told him about the little accident on the bandsaw, one thing he said is those tools are like your slaves, and that if you take your eyes off of them for a moment, they'll turn back on you. I was telling that to my family, and I heard my sister say that's a good bit of Southern wisdom. I say that, you know, I'm from a nation in the United States that's kind of in the South, but not in the deepest South. So I say that I hear that things can be a little bit more different when you're down in the deep South, from some of what I've heard, and how that all the things just kind of work about like they all always do. And I say that there's always differences as to how they ordain deacons for their churches. From what I've heard one friend say, I knew him from a church I used to attend, or used to be a member of, that was, you know, here in my hometown, but it kind of happened over time that, you know, after he moved away to somewhere, and when I kind of saw on Facebook he had become a deacon in his own church, there was something I commented to it about it, to which he said that it is just so much different there in the deep South. So he probably just knew a thing or two about it, and there was just some good things to share. And I'd say that there's all these things we kind of learn from our different places in life. I say one thing for sure is that maybe it wouldn't hurt just to get a little started on this tale here. I say that it's always just one of those things where you see the carving in different places. People carve different ways around the world. I mean, there's even, I'd say, places like in Sweden and Norway where I've seen the different ways people carve. They have their own ways. And there's places like in Israel where people have good enough tools to carve even olive wood. And I don't really have the right kind of tools for that, but I'd say it probably takes some special kind of tool to do it, because I know that olive wood, for example, is something that is pretty thick and slick and dense, and probably hard enough to carve with the kinds of knives I have. And from what I understood, they don't really power carve it there, but it's something they carve there because it's just about all they have. I'd say for years of my life, I've always known the Bible well enough to know that, at least in Bible times, the olive tree wasn't the only tree in Israel. There were fig trees, and in those days, a fig tree and a sycamore tree were practically the same thing, because here in America we have a sycamore tree that's a little bit different, but as far as the little sycamore tree was concerned, that, you'd say they had in those days, it was a sycamore fig tree, and that was what you'll notice, according to the Bible, that Zacchaeus climbed up in to try to see Jesus, and that Jesus came over there and said, and told him to come down, and said, "I'm going to your house." So I'd say it's just little things where, the Lord has worked in mysterious ways. All the ways he kind of converted tax collectors and sinners into disciples. And one little thing, I read a devotion last night, and I would even have my parents tell me this ever since I was a kid, and there had even been a serial killer who was on Dr. Dobson's show, Focus on the Family, who, the night before he was executed, he trusted Jesus as his Savior. It can be kind of a deep topic to get into, but, I believe in life that even the worst of criminals do. Think about the dying thief on the cross, and the fact that he was right there on the cross, repenting, saying, "Lord, remember me when you enter your kingdom," and Jesus Christ saying to him, "Today you will be with me in paradise." There's a lot to get out of our studies. I say that there's times in our lives when we kind of have a lot to learn. Wood carving world can be just kind of that kind of place, I say, and and come to think of it, I am thinking I'm coming down to discovering that this is in fact Guanacaste that I'm carving. And I'll tell you all that Guanacaste is a wood that comes out of Mexico. And I also read somewhere that there is a certain town or region or something like that in Mexico that is called Guanacaste, and I don't know whether the wood's named after that, or whether the place is named after the tree, or even whether if there might be something that grows on the tree that's called a Guanacaste, like a fruit or something, that maybe both get their name from. I wouldn't be the one to say that I know all the answers, but I tell y'all that this wood here was probably one of the last things that Ray Durham ever introduced me to before he passed away. And I say a little time and effort in a piece is going to mean a whole lot to the world. Of all things I say in life, I say that I could hope one day that I could make it very far in the world of woodworking and wood carving. And I know that sometimes even people who have seen me sew in places, they, one guy, that Brewster McLeod, who owns that McLeod's Coffee House I go to, he's also been the one to say that he's noticed that people watch me sew in there and get kind of jealous. They, use sewing machines and stuff, and they see how I sew by hand and wish they could do it just like that. And, and just like people who see me carve tell me they wish they could do that. In Brewster McLeod's opinion, he said I was probably one of the best sewers he knew. So it's all just something that comes down to what we know and who we know. I say that there's been a lot of special circus tricks that people have done in life. I even heard about somebody who walked on a tightrope over a town. I don't remember his name. It was Felipe somebody, and whoever he was, I think I understood from what I read in Google that he was a very good sport for the way he walked that tight rope and stayed on it as long as he did. And makes me think of this other question I've asked before on social media, just to kind of get people's attention. A little question, which was, for how much money would you walk a tightrope across the Grand Canyon? Oh, the little funnies I come up with in life, I say. It's just kind of the work that makes us the best we can be in life. And I say that for all these little retriever things, it's always good to kind of take just one little pattern for a dog and switch up the kind of wood you use. And when you use a different kind of wood, it makes it good for making it into a dog that is of similar breed and of different color, like turning the golden retrievers into chocolate labs. And there's going to come a day when I'm probably going to carve up some black walnut and try to make some little black lab dogs. I mean, there's probably been enough Doberman pinchers I've made like that, where I've used a little peach and pink to kind of make the other parts of their fur that stand out from the dark part, and just little wise words that can bring a little more interest to the wood carving world. I say that there's little places will come along here sometime or another. I can't wait to get these done, show them on the internet, and then just have it be on a little YouTube channel where you can see the things I'm doing and how I'm making it so far. I say that a little good work shall kind of tire us down, and in all things I say a little good way to make something work for the better in us. You know, a little faith and patience can do a good thing or two. There was once a little pamphlet that Kenneth Copeland wrote called Faith and Patience, the Power Twins, saying that trials alone cannot make us strong. If trials alone could make us strong, we would all be spiritual giants. Kind of didn't really work that way too much, because as he was saying, everybody has trials, everybody. We don't always let it affect us for who we are, but it can kind of change from one of us to the next, how we see life, how we deal with it on a daily basis. And just for all your all's knowledge, I say that this is just the ways I've studied in life and learned what I know. I'll say a little more as we work along, but almost getting time to end this video pretty soon. Mainly did it because I just wanted to update you all at the beginning as to what the video yesterday was about, and say that I think all is well here. It's not supposed to get real bad here. It's already a little after 6 o'clock, and we haven't heard our first thunder or seen our first lightning yet, so it's just kind of the little things we're going to say and see and do as we have a little knowledge of ourselves and how we work in life. I say that there's just times when we scratch where we itch, like I just did, and I'd say, it's kind of like how you see dogs. Sometimes they kind of take their back leg and scratch against their face with it. They kind of get out all the fleas and ticks. So it's just a little time when we have a little time in our lives, working the long way, working the hard way, seeing what we need to see in life just to be on our best words and best deals and best behaviors. And I'd say while I'm at it, I'll show you all how I have painted the other Viking today. I can get into more detail about this when I do a video where I have a few more longer minutes to talk, but it's getting about time to end, so take care, God bless, and keep in touch always. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. I hope to see you in the next video. Stay tuned.